know a little bit about birds. Laboni, you are among the earliest joiners for our session today. Do you want to share some experience on birds? Do you want to tell us who's your favorite bird and all?
My favorite bird is a peacock, actually.
Really? Oh, that's nice.
And why is that, Labani?
Even though it cannot fly, it is very colorful, and also it is almost like a rainbow.
Oh.
No, beta, it can fly very well. Though it is a very large bird, it can fly. So that is the misconception that if it is a large bird, it can't fly, but not like that. It can fly.
Also,
And while it is in flight, it looks amazing. Okay, whenever you get the opportunity, you get to see it, and you will be mesmerized by the flight it used to take. Okay, so when you go and someday watch the peacock in flight.
ma'am, I have seen a peacock in real life in Kolkata.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, can we begin now, Anubhuti?
Yes.
It's already past 11.
Okay. So,
Anubhuti, please unmute.
okay. Okay, let me welcome you all once again to our session today. As all of you already know, it's our session on birds this time. And we have got a wonderful speaker amongst us, that is Gargi Mishra. Gargi is an amateur ornithologist, and she's currently doing courses on bird watching from the Bombay Natural History Society and from the Cornell Lab University, USA. She is an avid nature lover. She has been exploring places in Eastern India, in Himalayas, to do her field study. And she is also a regular columnist in our amazing Gober Times magazine. I hope all of you must have heard and read Gober Times at least once or twice easily. So that's a magazine we publish and upload on the Young Environmentalist. It is an environment magazine all meant for you kids. Please do keep checking it out on our website, and do read up Gargi's columns as well. I will now give the floor to Gargi. Gargi, please go ahead and tell us a lot more interesting stuff about birds and how we should take care of them.
Good morning, all of you. Thank you so much, Anubhuti, for that generous introduction about me. Thank you, dear all kids, for attending today's webinar. Once again, I'll thank you, CSU's Young Environmentalist program, for having me today. Well, I'm also a student like all of you, dear, and currently pursuing ornithology courses, as Anubhuti already said. In fact, to know about our environment, we should remain a student forever. What do you say? So let's move to our today's session with the PPT presentation. Anubhuti, is that visible?
It's perfectly visible. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, fine. So we'll start with this. Actually, our topic is flights of delight. We are a timeless universe, right? In our planet, we have some 87 lakhs of species, according to the Census of Marine Life Scientists. Human is just one of them, and the least diverse one. But birds somehow stand out among all of them. Birds have always fascinated humans. In fact, I can say as a species, humans have an eternal ego clash with birds. We often wonder, how come they fly? And though I really admire them very much, but still I feel little jealous about their world. Often I dream to fly and cross all the boundaries of the world. वो कहते हैं ना कि मेरे भी पंख होते तो मैं पूरी दुनिया घूम आता. Just like that, don't you kids? लगता है ना कि शायद मुझे भी, मेरे पास भी पंख होते तो मुझे कोई बाउंड्री रोक नहीं सकता, मुझे फ्लाइट की जरूरत नहीं होती और मैं जहां मर्जी चाहे घूम के आ जाऊं. And that skill hurts human ego so much every day and every moment. And finally, one of our biggest and most defining technological achievements is to replicate that skill of bird to fly. But there are some other emotions as well while we watch birds. And after our own, I think birds are the other species that we encounter every day in every cities or in villages and everywhere. Even if we are not a keen bird watcher, this is because they are our near and dear one from the avian world. Like in a city like Delhi, we encounter at least 5 to 10 species every day. And our relationship with the birds is so intense and enriching that our most popular galis and thalis are around birds, whether you agree or disagree. You must have heard about the thirsty crow story, right? The crow still teaches us cleverness and perseverance. But the most misunderstood one is the owl. You must have heard this phrase many times in your life. No ullu बनाएं. आपने advertisements में भी देखा है ना?
Yeah.
No ullu बनाएं करके किसी में एक advertise आता है. This is very sad actually. Owl is not like that. But still we use this kind of phrases. जबकि owl को avian world में बहुत ही वाइजेस्ट माना जाता है. वैसे भी सारे बर्ड्स इंटेलिजेंट होते हैं, शायद हमसे भी ज्यादा, बट फिर भी देयर आर सम कहावत यू कैन से और जो शेर शायरी होते हैं उसमें से भी एक ऐसा ही हिंदी में है जो इस तरह से है, हर शाख पे उल्लू बैठा है, अंजामे गुलिस्तां क्या होगा. लोग ये नहीं समझ पाते कि उल्लू है इसीलिए गुलिस्तां आबाद है. क्यों और कैसे, हम इसके बारे में आगे चल के डिस्कशन करते हैं. Okay, so whenever you watch the birds in your balcony or anywhere in your life, actually you look into a really very sophisticated time machine from the Jurassic era. That sophisticated time machine that takes you back to a life million of years before humans evolved. The bird is a living time machine that takes you back to some 165 million years. And in fact, they will carry the signatures of their time from the Jurassic era. But what we take for granted is that the birds we encounter every day are the planet's history keepers. They remind us humans about our own smallness in this universe. Can you people identify this equipment? This is a binocular, right? So we use binocular to watch birds, but actually the bird gives us a reverse view of the binocular. If you watch something in riverside, you see the object far away, right? Just like when you see a bird, you can imagine as if you are looking at a time machine from the Jurassic era. Here I have represented this binocular in a different way. आप ये देखिए, ये जो उसका जो रियर एंड में जो लेंस है, अगर हम बinocular को उल्टा करके देखते हैं तो इसमें जो बर्ड्स नजर आएंगे वो बहुत छोटे और बहुत दूर नजर आएंगे, और जो फोर एंड है इसमें बर्ड्स बड़े और क्लोजर नजर आएंगे. तो मैं इसको ऐसे रिप्रेजेंट करती हूँ यहाँ पे, जो छोटे हैं और जो रियर एंड में दिखने वाले बर्ड्स जुरासिक एरा के हैं, और जो बर्ड्स सामने हैं और जो बिगर शेप में और क्लोजर दिखते हैं वो हमारे मॉडर्न एरा के बर्ड्स हैं। और दोनों लेंसेस, ये जो फ्रंट लेंसेस और बैक ये रियर एंड में जो लेंसेस है, दोनों के लेंसेस के गैप को मैं इवोल्यूशन मानती हूँ, या बर्ड्स की इवोल्यूशन के तौर पे मैंने रिप्रेजेंट किया है। Isn't it interesting? Well, have you ever wondered, kids, कि ये जो डायनासोर्स ये आए कहाँ से? From where the dinosaurs have come from? Actually, the universe of birds took shape some 165 million years ago, as we already discussed about it. Their evolution or descent on this planet also marked a landmark era on the planet's life evolution history, and could be a similar moment of joy like our inventing an aeroplane and flying. For the first time on the planet, a species could move above the ground and soon spread across, leaving all the other species below on the planet. We all know that birds have evolved from the theropod dinosaurs. Do you know what is a theropod dinosaur? Actually, it is a group of bipedal carnivorous dinosaur having members from very small and delicately built to huge members. Bipedals means having 2 legs, and carnivorous means the meat-eating dinosaurs. In fact, they carry all the evolutionary memories and features from that era till now. The feathers, the wings, then there are so many other features they adapted. They gradually evolved. In the meantime, they survived many extinctions, but retain their strength. And there are so many things about it. Let me show you the first. Okay, just a minute. First, here I have included how these theropod dinosaurs evolved to the first bird we got. Okay, here it is the theropod dinosaur. It went on evolving and we got the first bird. But here the question arises, why this huge animal like dinosaur shrank its body? Well, actually that is a little bit, you can say that not proved practically, but the hypothesis is that probably the ever-changing biogeographical conditions of the planet forced them to adapt different habitats. And maybe they saw that the trees were a very good resource of food and shelter, and that's why they adapted trees as their habitat, and they shrank their body and started growing wings. Let me show you the first photograph of the first bird of the world. Actually, this is a fossilized image of the first bird. You must have seen in many textbooks, right? And this is when the artist recreated out of their imagination. This is the first bird looked like in real life. And the scientist named it as Archaeopteryx. You must have heard about this term, right? बहुत साइंस टेक्स्ट बुक में ये टर्म आपने पढ़ा होगा क्लासेस में. You must have heard about Archaeopteryx. This is the great granddaddy of all the modern birds we have. It is a fossil that is featured in all textbooks, discovered in 1861 in Germany. Actually, nobody has seen an Archaeopteryx, as that's quite evident. It has a mixture of classic bird features such as feathers, wings, and apart from that, they have sharp claws, then bony tails, and they had reptilian characteristics. But then they have impression of feathers as well. And from here, the family tree of modern birds are drawn. Over 100 million years, this grand paleoparent has evolved into our birds. Like the current days mynas, parrots, chickens, pigeons, and some 1100 species, 11,000 species of birds. During that time, yeah.
Sorry, Gargi, just 1 second. Can you please reposition your camera a little? We are not able to see you completely.
Okay, now you can?
Yeah, maybe a little bit towards.
Like this?
Yeah, I think, yeah, that is.
Huh? Yeah, it's visible?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, go.
Okay, good. So birds evolved from dinosaurs, and therefore they can be argued as dinosaurs. Just like we evolved from mammals, that's why we are called mammals. Here you can see the gradual improvement of theropod dinosaurs to our modern birds. Here they became Archaeopteryx. This theropod dinosaur went on adding wings and feathers and some body features and became an Archaeopteryx. And this Archaeopteryx went on adding some body features like beak and wings and evolved to our modern birds. And this world of modern bird is actually an illusion to me. I all the time fascinate about these birds. Actually, at the end, you would agree as we discuss about them. So, why I say this this world is completely an illusionary world? Let's discuss about that. As you know that in our world, girls are very pretty, but in the avian world, the boys are the most beautiful and colorful. Girls, don't get offended here. They have to be beautiful because they have to start their family, start their new family. But on the other hand, the girls choose to be simple and elegant. Why that is so? Because the girls hatch and raise their chicks. If they would get colorful feathers, then the predators would easily locate them, and that could be fatal for their babies. Actually, color in the avian species have greater importance and greater roles. One of them is that we can easily recognize and identify them. But that itself is a very long chapter. We will discuss on color only some other time. Let's proceed with this presentation. Therefore, the girls can't afford to be colorful or in other words, I can say to keep their babies safe from the predator, they used to wear very drab colored dresses. Okay. Sorry. The evolution didn't stop then and there, and the birds continued to evolve. We as humans might not have observed whether our physical features have changed according to our food and habitat, but it is very much visible in the avian world. Not all the birds eat similar kind of food, or not all birds live in same type of habitat. So depending upon their choice of food and their habitat, they have adapted different types of beaks. बीक्स मतलब चोंच, उनकी जो चोंच होती है वो उनके खाने और जहां पे वो रहते हैं उस जगह के ऊपर बेस करके उन्होंने अडॉप्ट किया हुआ है. So 100 million years of evolution has resulted in distinguished beak for each species of bird. Here I have included a few of them. The first one is the grain-eating bird. They have cone-shaped bills. And here you can see the beak of these birds. They are conical in shape. And this kind of bill helps them to husk the grain and pick them up from the ground easily. For example, sparrows, and this is the Indian silverbill. You must have noticed these birds around your area, right? These birds are very common. So these are the grain eating birds. So whenever you got to see these birds with this type of beak, then you should know that these are the grain eating birds. The next one is insect eating birds. They have strong, thin and straight bills with a large gap at the end of the bill. The gap is this area, the basal part of the bill till the eyes. Sometimes this area only called the gap, and this type of bill help them to catch the insect in flight. For example, our woodpeckers and the bee eaters have this type of bills, and they are insect eating birds and otherwise called insectivorous. Next comes the nectar eating birds. They have long, thin and needle-like bills to reach the nectar that is usually available at the end of the flower. And sometimes few of them have tubular tongues. They have tube-like tongues so that they can easily suck the nectar out of the flower. For example, our hummingbird and the sunbird. Due to this adaptation of bill or beak, they can easily extract the nectar that is located at the base of the flower. Okay, next comes the flesh-eating or carnivorous birds. They have adapted strong hook bills to tear the flesh from their prey. You can see the type of beak. See how different it is from the others. This type of bill help them to tear the flesh easily from their prey. Okay, and the examples are our eagles and the vultures. Okay, you can whenever you come to you got to see this type of birds, you know that they used to eat the flesh, neither grains nor nectar. They totally depend on flesh for survival. Okay, just like beaks, the wings of a bird is another distinct feature, and the wing actually act as a hand or arm of a human being. The ability of flying, migrating, hovering, diving, and even soaring of a bird entirely depend on their wing size and shape. Have you ever wondered why these birds have different type of wing and different size and wingspan? Because they have adapted those kind of wings based on their need and the area in which they are living. So here I have included a few types of wings. The first one is long and narrow wings. Long and narrow wings allow the bird to glide efficiently. For example, albatross. This is an albatross. This is the, here you can see the long and narrow wings. You can see the pointer, right? So this is the long and narrow wings they have that allow them to glide properly. And next comes the broad wing with slots. Broad wings with slots allow the birds to soar as well as glide. See here it is a bearded vulture, and all the vultures and eagles have broad wings with slots. These are called slots. You can see the gap, and the wing is quite broader. So this type of wings help them to soar as well as glide. For example, vultures and eagles. Next comes the long and pointed wings. This type of wing allow the bird to take their flight with speed, because at the time of migration they used to take long distances. So if they are a bit slower, then they might not reach the destination in time. That's why the ducks have adapted long and pointed wings. You can see over here. And lastly, the short and rounded wings. Short and rounded wings help the birds to take off quickly from the ground to escape their predators. Just like the small birds, there are so many small birds with short and rounded wings. For example, our magpie robin. This is the oriental magpie robin. I think you must have seen this bird in your courtyards. And the sparrows, they have also short and rounded wings. Okay, well, apart from the wings, birds have another most important feature, that those are their legs. Some have longer and thinner and thicker legs. The birds have developed legs for different reasons, like walking, running, hopping, flying, and swimming. And sometimes they use it as their grooming tool. They clean their feathers, they preen with their legs, and they have developed their legs, again, I would say, based on their habitat. So birds have adapted legs to suit their habitats, we can say. The leg bones tend to be heavier than a similar sized mammal because they have just 2 legs to support the entire body weight. Though they are little, they have hollow bones as well, but they are quite stronger. And sometimes you must have seen flamingos. I'll show you that later on. Flamingos and a few other birds with long legs and with long legs, just like, look at this. You must have thought it about their knee, right? These are actually not the knee, these are their ankles. How wonderful, right? So what appear as their knee is actually their ankle. Their knee are much further up, covered under feathers. So you can very hardly see their knees. Actually, what appears like their knee are their ankles. And few birds have adopted thin and long legs, just to keep their feathers high and dry while they search for their food on the mud flats or shallow water or deep water. For example, flamingos. These are the greater flamingos, and this is a stilt. They have long and thin legs so that they would keep their feathers up and out of the reach of the water. Here comes the strong and long legs. All the eagles and owls have strong and long legs because they kill their prey with their feet. And while killing their prey, they should have such stronger and longer legs so that it can take the impact of the force of their body. So that it will also help them to take their prey to their nest. Sometimes while killing a prey, the eagle or owl, they should have the strength in their legs so that if the prey is quite bigger, then they can carry that to their nest. Okay, then next comes the short-legged birds. Actually, these people, they don't believe in long and strong legs, long and thin legs, rather, I would say. They have adopted short and strong legs to walk, to run, or hop on the ground. Smaller legs or short legs also help them to perch on a branch or to hold a twig. You can see this common tailor bird, how it is holding the twig. Okay, how it is holding the leaf twig actually. And this is the common hoopoe. It can very easily walk on the ground. Okay, so these people have short and strong legs. And there is very interesting aspect to the legs of this bird. It is a group of there are a group of birds called sweeps. Virtually, they have no legs actually. Actually, they don't need any leg because they breed, they eat and sleep in the air. Very rarely they use, actually they never come to the ground intentionally. So they have adapted such legs just to, adapted tiny claws just to cling to the building or to the area in which they make their nest. Here you can never see the leg of a swift bird, right? While in flight, it is not visible. That's why I had to put the image of this guy over here, so that you can have a better knowledge of how small their feet are. And this guy is not dead actually. It is faking death. The moment you would put it down, it will fly away. So what do you think? Isn't that a complete illusion? The modern bird's world is an illusion, right? Would you agree, all of you?
Children, you can
Okay.
use your raise hand options and thumbs up and all to respond to Gargi's questions.
Yes. Oh, let's proceed with the. Okay, then let's proceed with the next slide. Here I would say the real illusion comes, because sometimes what happens when we see a bird under direct sunlight, it looks different, and the moment you just remove it from the light, or somehow or the other, the bird will be there under low light, then that appears differently. So here I would say birds in nature give us an experience of watching a movie in Eastman color. In many instances, the colors on birds are not actual or not real, but they are optical illusions. That means not always pigments give color to the birds. As you all of you know that pigment gives color to our skin and different animals and all that. You must have read about it in your science textbook. But in the avian world, not always pigments impart color to the bird feathers. Sometimes sunlight creates magic. In other words, sunlight gives color to them, which is called structural coloration. Once again, the color given by the sun is called structural coloration in avian world. Okay, so let me simplify it a bit. What is structural coloration? It is a color reflected by light from a surface or structure. Therefore, when the source or the angle of the light changes, so does the shade. If I would go a little deeper into the meaning, I would say that the feathers absorb all the colors except the shade that is reflected. And the examples of structural coloration in the avian world are all the blue birds found in the avian world. Here I have included one best example, and that is one verditer flycatcher. The name of this bird is verditer flycatcher. If you will search the meaning of verditer in the dictionary, then you will find that the meaning of verditer is a blue pigment or a bluish green pigment. But this guy appears glossy copper sulfate to turquoise blue, brilliant turquoise blue under direct sunlight. But very interestingly, it appears dull under low light or when it is perching away from the sunlight. So this is the best example of structural coloration, and while exploring the avian world, you can see many other birds as well in the avian world having structural coloration. Okay, isn't that interesting? Now here comes the giants and the dwarfs. I mean the size of the birds. Okay, just like the colorations of the birds, the sizes of the birds also baffle us at times. Sometimes I wonder why they have so much variation in their size. Why they don't have some average height and size just like we humans? Well, that is little complicated because the size of the birds depends entirely on the molting strategy they follow, or you can say the feather molting strategy they follow. So what is molting? Actually, molting is the process of shading and replacing the feathers. When you must have marked, कई बार हम भी अगर सनलाइट में बहुत देर तक खड़े हो जाते हैं या एक्सपोजर होता है तो हमारा स्किन बर्न होने का चांस रहता है, फंगल इन्फेक्शंस होते हैं स्किन पे, या फिर हमें डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ इन्फेक्शन हो सकते हैं. जस्ट लाइक बर्ड्स के फेदर्स में क्या होता है, समटाइम्स उनका फेदर डिग्रेड हो जाता है, या तो ओल्ड होने की वजह से, या डिजीज के वजह से, या फिर एक्सपोजर टुवर्ड्स अल्ट्रावायलेट रेज के वजह से. तो दे नीड टू शेड इट रेगुलरली, उनको वो शेड करना पड़ता है, अदरवाइज वो प्रॉपरली फ्लाइट नहीं ले पाएंगे. सो उनको बीच बीच में अपना फेदर हटा के दूसरा न्यू फेदर और न्यू हेल्दी फेदर इंक्लूड करना होता है. एंड दैट एक्चुअली डिटरमाइंस द बर्ड साइज, व्हिच इज लिटिल intriguing, rather I would say. So it has some intricacies to it. So for the timing, we are not going to discuss deep into it. We'll discuss at some other point. For the timing, you just understand that this is also a type of evolutionary adaptation in birds. Now, here you can see the smallest and the largest bird on the earth. The smallest bird on earth is the bee hummingbird, and the largest one, all of you know that this is an ostrich. Okay, the bee hummingbird is even smaller than an average human thumb. You look at this, you can see my pointer. Look at this guy, how small, how tiny it is, and look at this one, how big, how huge, and how strong it is than an average human being. How interesting, how incredible, isn't it? You kids, what do you say? So the avian world is really an illusion for everyone. Okay, next. All those were the physical features till now we were discussing. Let's discuss what are their contribution towards our ecosystem. Before that, just tell me, can we survive without birds? Can we live without birds? Can anyone? Can we live without birds? Kids?
Gargi, we have some hands up. Do you want to?
Or some of the kids are showing
okay.
thumbs down. They're showing a thumbs down reaction. So probably
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
what they want to say.
Okay, so what do we do? Would take the answer or just proceed forward?
Shall I?
We'll take the question session at the end. Okay, that
Okay.
would be better. Okay, good. So it is always said that the environment, the birds, the wildlife will survive and thrive without humans, but the opposite is just impossible, because they are the role of birds and their contribution towards our ecosystem is so huge that without them we cannot survive. And this is the first role played by the birds in our ecosystem, is that of a pollinator. Okay, we recognize butterflies and insects as pollinator and often ignore birds in our world. But the extreme cold climate and the darkness of jungle, darkness of forest, make the insect and butterflies incapable of movement. When you would consider the coldest climate regions, the butterflies and insects remain inactive during the coldest of months. So in that region, the flowering plants learned to rely on the birds for pollination entirely. For example, South America, the birds like hummingbird, the flowering plants entirely depend upon the hummingbirds for pollination. And worldwide, there are about 2,000 species of pollinating birds. And flowers that are pollinated by bats bloom at night. Therefore, we need birds to pollinate the flowers that bloom during the daytime. And it has been recorded that 16.5% of bird and mammal pollinators are threatened with extinction. So guys, let's join hands to save all these birds, right? The next role played by the birds is that of a seed dispersers. Birds are the best seed dispersers. Here, I would say that the seed that pass through their digestive system have more chances of germination and producing stronger seedlings. If it would not be for birds, many of our forests would have lost their diversity. So, a renowned website called fees.org has says in an article that more than 70% of plant species that produce flowers depend on birds to disperse their seeds. Birds feed on fruit from a wide array of different plants, and bird-plant interactions configure a welter of complex networks. Okay, so plants don't move. So birds need to disperse the seeds to different areas. And if it would not be for birds, the rainforest and the other forest who entirely depends on birds for seed dispersal would not thrive. So this is again another important role played by the birds in our ecosystem. And the next role played by the bird in our ecosystem has much more greater importance. Mother Nature has her own sanitation squad, and we call them scavengers. Though this term has assumed negative connotation, but these birds help us clearing the carrions and the waste. And by consuming the waste, they keep us safe from the deadly pathogens, and they keep our environment disease-free, and the unbearable stench that the dead bodies used to emit by consuming them. So whenever you see a scavenging bird, now don't contempt them, don't feel disgust about them. Be patient and observe their activities and how they are helpful to our ecosystem. Here, these birds are absolutely indispensable for the functioning of the natural and even urban ecosystem. Okay, so guys, next time whenever you see vultures or this kind of what we say, vultures बहुत ही गंदे होते हैं, बहुत ही भद्दे दिखते हैं, बेकार हैं, ये तो इसमें से बदबू आता है, या वो सब कभी मत सोचना. They have much more greater importance in our ecosystem. तो अब के बाद थोड़ा अपना नजरिया बदलना, उनको देखने का और उनको appreciate करना, और उनका जो रोल है उसको appreciate तो जरूर करना. And the next role is a pest controller. The next role played by the bird is that of a pest controller. A large portion of food of birds consists of insects, their larvae and their eggs. And in India alone, reported 30,000 types of insects. Birds eat 400 to 500 million tons of insects annually. Okay, in your science textbook, you must have read that birds, insect pests multiply at an incredible speed due to their high fertility rate, and the voracious caterpillar can consume food double its body weight a day. So, without the birds, the planet would have been taken over by these insects. अगर ये birds नहीं होते, अगर इतने huge amount में birds insect kill नहीं करते होते या फिर नहीं खा रहे होते, तो हमारी जो एग्रीकल्चर है, एग्रीकल्चरल फील्ड्स हैं, इनमें तो एक भी ग्रेन नजर नहीं आता, कोई भी हमें खाने को नहीं मिलता, कोई भी एक भी दाना हमें खाने को नहीं मिलता अगर बर्ड्स नहीं होते। बर्ड्स भी कुछ हद तक डैमेज करते हैं, बट स्टिल उनका जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है वो डैमेज से कहीं गुना ज्यादा बड़ा है। सो their role as pest controller is very much important towards our agricultural field, towards our farmers, towards our mainly our yielding seeds and harvesting mainly. Okay, the next is the role played by bird is that of a vermin slayer. And here we need to understand what vermin is actually. The vermins are the wild animals. Those are harmful for the game birds or crops, or they are carrying diseases just like rodents. So ज्यादातर हम लोग rodents को recognize करते हैं vermin के रूप में। और here I would say, जो हमने पहले डिस्कस किया था ना कि owls ऐसे हम जैसे सोचते हैं वैसे नहीं है, वो पॉइंट को हम यहाँ पे डिस्कस करेंगे। Here I have taken barn owls as example. So one family of owl consume up to 3,000 rodents annually. They are the best vermin slayers and उनका staple food ही owl है। So recently आपने न्यूज में पढ़ा होगा, Lakshadweep administration had introduced some barn owls for the pilot project on biological control of rodents in Kavarati Island to stop their damage caused by rats to the island's coconut yield and economy. Actually, Kavarati Island में जो coconut plantations हैं, उसके कोकोनट ब्रांचेस जब बड़े हो जाते हैं वो टॉप पे कैनोपी जैसे बन जाते हैं और आपस में जुड़ जाते हैं, एक ब्रांच दूसरे से जुड़ जाता है। और जब फ्लावरिंग सीजन आता है, ये रैट्स क्या करते हैं, फ्लावर्स को पूरी तरह से तहस नहस कर देते हैं, तो कोकोनट होने का तो सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता। दैट्स व्हाई लक्षद्वीप के एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स ने केरला से कुछ बार्न आउल्स लेके वहां पे इंट्रोड्यूस करवाया था। और after that the rat population has decreased quite a lot. अब आप बताओ, owls गुलिस्तां आबाद करते हैं या बर्बाद करते हैं? Isn't that something to address, kids? है ना? अब तो हम नहीं कह सकते ना कि owls गुलिस्तां बर्बाद करते हैं। अब ये जो कहावत है इसको हटा देना, अभी इसको मत सुनना, इसको अपोज करना। आबाद गुलिस्तां तभी रहता है जब आउल है, और आउल जहां पे है वहां का इकोसिस्टम हेल्दी है बोल के माना जाता है। ओके, सो आपके बाद इस तरह के कोई भी प्रभाव आप यूज नहीं करना प्लीज, राइट?
I'm sure, Gargi, kids are listening to all your advices and suggestions.
Thank you.
And
okay, fine. अभी तक हमने now you got the glimpse of the whole universe. Them, you have to observe them, you have to see them regularly, जिसको हम bird watching कहते हैं. Okay, so here comes why we do bird watching. Actually, here I would like to say, when we watch them, we don't actually watch them, rather we understand the universe around them, we understand their world. And understanding the birds in their lives clear us on ecological sensitivity. It would be a recreational hobby, and they give us happiness and joy. उनके जो voice हैं, उनके जो sweet singing है, उनके जो fluidity है voice में, या जो beauty है उनका अपना, या feathers इतने colorfuls हैं, ये सारे हम जब observe करते हैं, पहले तो हमें ये इनसे बहुत खुशी मिलती है, and the next thing is that is something like जब तुम उसको डीपली ऑब्जर्व करोगे, you got to know much more about them. Now, you must be thinking how we can be a part of this fascinating world. Bird watching has become an hobby of many people, right? बहुत लोग आजकल बर्डिंग करते हैं, बर्ड्स को देखने जाते हैं, कुछ हैं जो फोटोग्राफी करना पसंद करते हैं. So, by doing this, we can contribute to increase understanding of birds. Okay, and how you would do that? By participating in various mass level bird census and by operating in your neighborhood census. Just like there are many ways. First, there are various census of birds happen where we all can participate. Like the recently closed world's largest census of birds in our backyard. कुछ renowned websites ये सारे organize कर रहे थे lastly, जिसमें अपने बैकयार्ड के बर्ड्स को काउंट किया जा रहा था और एक पर्टिकुलर टाइम पीरियड के अंदर तुम कितने बर्ड्स आइडेंटिफाई करते हो, कितने बर्ड्स वहां पे प्रेजेंट होते हैं, उनको रिकॉर्ड करके भेजना होता था. Okay, in such surveys you just need to go out, spot a bird and enter into a mobile application. There are so many mobile applications, you can download any one of them. और कहीं भी आप बैठ जाओ अपने घर के पास, किसी रिवर के पास, किसी कहीं भी anywhere, और आप देखो अपने आसपास कितने बर्ड्स हैं और फिर उसमें एप्लीकेशन में उसको डालो और उसको फॉरवर्ड कर दो. Similarly, you can also participate in various birders group activities on social media sites like Facebook. Here you can exchange your pictures and informations. आप जो information collect करोगे, पहले तो आप bird watching करोगे as kids छोटे छोटे हो, अभी इतना ज्यादा अगर आप observe नहीं भी कर पाए तो कोई बात नहीं, आप पहले देखो उनको, आपको कितने बर्ड्स दिखाई देते हैं. आप अगर आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर पाते हो तो उनको जस्ट नोट डाउन कर लो, किस टाइप का बर्ड है, छोटा है, बड़ा है, शेप कैसा है, और उसको नोट डाउन करने के बाद आप उसको शेयर करो किसी भी ग्रुप के साथ, जस्ट टू आइडेंटिफाई देम, जस्ट टू रिकॉग्नाइज देम, और उनके बारे में और ज्यादा जानने के लिए. और अगर आप फोटोग्राफी करते हो तो इट्स बेटर टू शेयर देम ऑन द सोशल मीडिया. Also do visit hotspot of migratory birds like nearby Sultanpur Bird Sanctuary, और जो कि हरियाणा में है, और any wetlands when the migratory birds visit us. इंडिया में बहुत सारे ऐसे जगह हैं जहाँ पे huge numbers of migratory birds every year visit करते हैं. You can pick up any place and you go there, you see them, you just spend some time with them, and you got to know the उसमें आपको क्या होगा कि जो बाहर के बर्ड्स आए हुए होते हैं, जो या तो साइबेरिया से आते हैं, रसिया से आते हैं, जहां कहीं भी से आ रहे हो, उनका जो इकोलॉजिकल सिग्नेचर है उनमें, वो आपको पता चलेगा, वो आप आइडेंटिफाई कर पाओगे, समझ पाओगे ये कहाँ से आए हैं, कैसे आए हैं, कितना डिस्टेंस कवर करके आए हैं, और किस टेरेन से होते हुए आ रहे हैं, और उनकी जो बॉडी फिजियोलॉजी है, इतने छोटे होते हुए भी वो लोग कैसे इतना डिस्टेंस कवर करते हैं, ये सारे आपको ना मतलब बहुत ही फैसिनेट करेगा, आपको बहुत ही आगे जानने को प्रेरित करेगा, और आप उसके लिए और जानने का वो जो इंक्विजिटिवनेस है वो डेवलप होगा. So by doing this, you get to see the birds of other countries and also understand their life. We can have the sessions on migration some other time as well, but just to conclude that, be a bird watcher. With this, I put rest to my presentation. Thank you and bye-bye. So should I share some thing about myself also, my own experiences of birding and all that, Anubhuti?
Sure, Gargi, but we have a couple of interesting questions coming up on the chat. Please allow me to pass them on to you.
Okay,
so,
okay, fine.
Our first question is by Laboni Dhar. Laboni, I'm unmuting you. You had a very interesting comment at the beginning of the session. Please pose your question.
My question is, Peacocks are big and heavy birds. How can it still fly?
Okay. Actually, beta, at this age, आप अगर उसको थोड़ा मैं सिंप्लीफाई करके बताऊं तो चलेगा, क्योंकि आपने ये जो क्वेश्चन पूछा है ये थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी है. कई बार ह्यूज होने के बावजूद भी बर्ड्स में वो एबिलिटी होती है, उनके जो प्राइमरीज हैं, उनके जो फ्लाइट फेदर्स हैं जिससे वो उड़ते हैं ना, वो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ फ्लाइट फेदर्स उनको हेल्प करते हैं टेक ऑफ के लिए. ओके, तो ये थोड़ा सा मतलब आप अगर सिंपली इसको समझते हो तो जस्ट इट इज ए यू कैन से इवोल्यूशनरी एडेप्टेशन जो उस बर्ड में है, और इट कैन इजीली टेक ऑफ फ्रॉम द ग्राउंड, नो प्रॉब्लम. इसके विंग्स स्ट्रॉन्ग है, इसके मसल्स स्ट्रॉन्ग है, इसके विंग्स में उतना पावर है, तो वो आसानी से अपनी बॉडी को कैरी करके फ्लाई कर सकता है. राइट लवनी, इज दैट ओके? ओके,
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is by Yusra. Yusra, I'm unmuting you. Thank you for putting in a very interesting picture of birds. Please ask your question. Yusra, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I am able to hear you.
Yeah, go on.
Can birds see colors?
yeah, of course beta, they can, and they can see much more colors than we human do. हमसे भी बहुत ज्यादा कलर्स उनको दिखते हैं. हम तो सिर्फ नॉर्मल जो कलर रेंज होता है जो विजिबल होते हैं उतना देख पाते हैं. वो अल्ट्रा वायलेट लाइट के अंडर जो कलर्स आते हैं ना, वो भी वो देख सकते हैं. सो यस, दे कैन.
And ma'am, I am having one more question.
Okay.
Do all birds migrate?
No, not necessarily. Only few migrates. And actually जो migrate करके आते हैं उनके एरिया में जब extreme cold होता है ना, तो वो थोड़ा सा बेटर एरिया में आ जाते हैं. वहां से जहाँ पे कम ठंड होती है उस एरिया में आ जाते हैं. और कई बार एक्सट्रीम कोल्ड जहाँ पे है वहां पे फूड सप्लाई नहीं होता, उनका सर्वाइवल पे बहुत ज्यादा सर्वाइवल डिफिकल्टीज हो जाती है, तो दे यूज टू माइग्रेट. सो नॉट नेसेसरीली सब माइग्रेट नहीं करते. कुछ लोकली माइग्रेट करते हैं, कुछ अपने ही कंट्रीज में एक जगह से दूसरे जगह पे माइग्रेट कर जाते हैं, कुछ मतलब डिफरेंट कॉन्टिनेंट्स में आ जाते हैं, कुछ अवे फ्रॉम कंट्री भी चले जाते हैं.
Next question is by Aruksha and Adyanath. They are in class 2B. Aruksha, I'm unmuting you. Can you please go ahead and ask your question? Aruksha? I think Aruksha is not able to hear us. Let us take the next question. The next is by Neil Otpar. Neil, can you please speak up your question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I wanted to ask that what, in your opinion, should a student-run birdwatching club do to conserve species endemic to their birding sites? For example, students of the June School are lucky to have migratory birds such as the veritable flycatcher or the Amur falcon pass through their campus. So, to maintain, for example, the veritable flycatcher, we do make sure our bee population is healthy and up and like has a healthy population basically. So, what else should we do to conserve these species?
Okay, Neil, actually for conservation, first of all, you have to take the help of experts. Okay, at the very preliminary stage, if you take some people who are directly into conservation, then it would help you. And for the timing, what you can do, because flycatchers they are not very common. So I would advise that you take some expert advices, like you take help from the conservationist, and you proceed forward here. Because as far as conservation is concerned, you should take the expert advices. Thank you.
Next question is by Janvi and Kiara. Janvi they both have a very interesting question. Janvi, please go ahead and present your question.
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to ask, how can birds hear, ma'am? They have no ears.
No, sorry, dear. They have ears, but it's not visible. Okay, they have ears just at the back, just you can say not exactly back, not exactly front, just at the side of, just below their eye, and they are hidden, well hidden under the feathers. They can hear anything and everything loudly, much more louder than us humans. Okay, it is not visible. It is covered under feathers. That's why it's not visible. Okay.
Another quick question from Sarvagna. Sarvagna Srivastav, are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Please ask your question.
Ma'am, why bats stand upside down?
Upside down. Have you seen ever any bird standing upside down?
No, I think he's asking about bats.
Yeah, I think she meant
Acha.
how they hang upside down.
Is that? Sorry, where is she? What she is asking is about bats.
Yeah. Sarvagna, can you switch on your video? So her question is about how are bats, how do bats hang upside down on the tree?
Oh, okay. Actually, birds don't have feathers. Okay. That makes them difficult to take off directly from the floor, from the ground. And in the hanging position, actually, when they drop themselves and they get the force of the wind, and with that, they open up their wings, which is actually not wing, that is a kind of leathery extension of, you can say, extension like wings. So they usually hang upside down because that would help them to take the flight easily.
Great. We'll now take in 2-3 more questions. The next question is by Arista Seril. Arista, can you please ask your question? Unmute yourself.
Okay, ma'am. How can birds survive in winter, ma'am?
Actually, beta, when during winter, what these birds used to do, they trap some air pockets. You have asked a very nice question, but it's difficult at this point to make you understand it clearly, because there are something very intriguing things about it. So for the timing, just understand that. हम लोग विंटर क्लॉथ्स ये करते हैं ना, वेयर करते हैं, जस्ट लाइक वो एयर पॉकेट जब ट्रैप अपने बॉडी के अंदर जब ट्रैप करते हैं तो बॉडी का हीट वो इवापोरेट नहीं हो पाता, बॉडी के हीट वहां से जा नहीं पाता, और वो उनका अंदर ही वो ट्रैप होके रहता है, और वो एक स्वेटर का काम करता है एयर पॉकेट्स, और वो इस तरह से अपने बॉडी हीट को मेंटेन रखते हैं और विंटर में सर्वाइव कर जाते हैं. गुड, नाइस.
Our next interesting question is from Keith Rodriguez. Keith, can you please unmute yourself? Are you able to hear me? Okay, so yeah, Keith, you're there. Yeah, please go ahead.
Is the eagle's vision the same vision of birds?
No, they have much more sharper vision than any other bird. They have the sharpest vision in the avian world. जितने भी ईगल्स हैं वो काफी ऊंचाई से ग्राउंड में उनका जो प्रे होते हैं उनको लोकेट कर सकते हैं. Okay, so that's why we say raptors or eagles have much more sharper vision in the avian world. Clear?
Okay, the second last question for the day. The second last question for the day is by Siddharth Bhattacharjee. Siddharth?
Yes, ma'am. So my question is,
that are there any birds that don't have wings?
Yeah, there are flightless birds, but again, that, as I have already told you, size and shape of the wings also also determined by their evolutionary adaptations.
Ma'am, can you tell me their name?
Ostrich is the best example of flightless bird. It is ostrich, emu, then casuaries. There are kiwi. They
Ma'am,
all
I
are.
have heard that kiwi have tiny wings.
No, they have feathers, not wings. They can't fly. Okay. They even if you see the ostriches, they have wings, right? They have wings. We can't say they don't have wings. They are birds. They have all the features of a bird, but they are called flightless birds because they can't take off from the ground. Even if sometimes few birds can take off, but then again, at the next moment they land on the ground. Okay, they can't fly for a long, much distant. Actually, we can say they can fly to a distant place. Okay, there are birds. This is a very nice question, and इसके ऊपर पूरा एक webinar बन सकता है बेटा, flightless and flying birds के ऊपर. Okay, there are birds, those are flightless, but they are having wings.
Okay, so we once again have Aruksha with us. Aruksha, do you want to ask your question? I think the host has enabled you to unmute yourself. All right, then in that case, let's go to our last question. The last question is by Suhana. Suhana?
Ma'am.
Yes, Suhana, we can't hear you. Suhana, please go ahead.
Bhuti, probably you can read out the question.
Right. So, so Suhana was asking that how birds like parrots are able to speak up in the way that we do. So it would. So Gargi ji, can you please?
No, yeah, actually they can't speak. They just imitate the sound. Okay, that resembles the human voices because we process that. Actually, they don't talk like humans. They just imitate our sound, and they try to. They are very intelligent birds, and they try to imitate each and every sound they used to come across, and we process that as if they are speaking something. Okay.
Okay. So thank you so much, Gargi ji, for so much information and for such a beautiful session on birds and all about them. I can see that there are still a lot of questions that kids want to ask you. I would request all of you to please email your questions to me at young@downtoearth.org.in. I will put the email ID in the chat strip right now, so that whatever question you have, you can please post it, and we will request our speaker for the day to answer them for you. For the time being, we will have to close the session. Thank you so much for attending it. We are unmuting all of you right now, and then you can say your goodbyes and your compliments and make your comments.
Thank you so much, Anubhuti. Thank you, Suparno. Okay, that's a great session.
Kanya, can you please unmute everyone?
Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Bye, teacher. Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Bye. It was a wonderful session. I got to know a lot about from it.
Yes, ma'am. Bye, ma'am. Yes. Bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Miss, I had a question. Bye, ma'am. Email. 3 Ma'am, may I ask?